and I'd like to highlight some of our success stories, including Mabeo Furnitures, who did a collaboration with Fendi over the years, Meleko Mokhosi, who's a visual artist who just sold a piece for $8.4 million in the States. So we do have talent, and I'd like to say that the landscape right now, we're torn. There are some people who are doing incredibly well, but I'm not going to nullify the disgruntlements of a lot of people, which could be access to markets, access to financing. There's a lack of infrastructure when it comes to music, in terms of labeling, publishing. We don't have those kind of things in place, which makes us work twice or three times as hard. And we see a lot of our musicians doing well, as well as some of the artists that I've mentioned. So it's half and half. Some people are doing great, but there are some challenges that we are facing.
Definitely. I would like to also pose a similar question to you, Tonderai. I'll call you with your first name because that's how I usually call you. Looking at the creative industry in Botswana, what do you see? What does the lay of the land look like? Where are the challenges? Where are the opportunities, just as a foundation?
Okay, so my job is made easier by my president at Business Botswana, who's set a very great tone. There's undermeasurement, which is something we need to deal with. I've written a letter to the Statistician General about that. And then there's underfunding. We know the state of our economy. We were at BTV yesterday. Monday, we actually met with Minister of State President and Minister of Sports and Arts. And then we had a follow-up meeting yesterday at BTV. And they revealed that they only have 2 million pula to acquire content this financial year. And I think more than 500 filmmakers are relying on BTV commissioning, and there's only 2 million pula available, which is nothing. But then I told a story. 2011, the Zebras were playing in Equatorial Guinea. And similarly, in 2011, there was no money to pay for the broadcast. Naturally, we were quite upset. We had commercial interests in that. We got a mandate on Monday morning. The Zebras were playing on Wednesday. We went to President Hotel. We called the private sector, and we raised 4.5 million in 30 minutes using BTV airtime, right? So I get very annoyed when I go to Department of Broadcasting who have a commercial arm which sells advertising, and then they profess poverty, right? So sometimes we're sitting on our hands, and maybe the situation we're in is going to force us to think, is going to force us to innovate, is going to force us to find alternative sources of funding. We can't send thousands upon thousands to learn creative multimedia, to study, become filmmakers, and then sit there and say, Ahona Madi, when you have a revenue source. So those are the kind of conversations we're having. The Creative Ecosystem Forum that the president spoke about, the Business Botswana president spoke about, is forming. I've never seen the kind of energy and urgency from Ministry of State President, who control broadcasting, and Ministry of Sports and Arts that we're seeing now. So it's happening. It's a pity it's happening when we're in the economic circumstances we're in, but I think together we can make things happen.
And you're right, Tonderai. Sometimes a level of pressure will allow us to find innovative ways to get ourselves out of the mess that we are in. I want to bring in Re Vincent Rapo. You are representing SIPA, and you deal with intellectual property and issues around copyright. Now, the beautiful thing is you are literally at the intersection of law, of creativity, as well as economic opportunity, and would like to unlock that level of economic opportunity. How can creatives as ourselves best protect our work in order to make sure that we are getting a return on investment? Because a lot of the times I think we get bombarded with the level of paperwork and everything else that comes with it. What does that look like for your office, Re Vincent?
Yes. Thank you, Samantha. I think when we talk about creatives, we are looking at individuals, a poet, a singer, a dancer. So what about people who are into management, like Re Saibelo Mudivi? I mean, we need such people. Those people are actually very, very critical in the growth of our industry. I can be a poet, but my poetry may be just still no movement, because there's actually no one who is actually managing me, who's showing me where the world is going, what should I be looking forward to. So essentially IP provides protection for our creatives to monetize their creativity. Obviously with protection, copyright, you can be able to license, you can be able to give people your poems for people now to convert them to songs. So there are very different aspects of opportunities that are available. I think most of the time we tend to lose a lot of our focus looking at the creatives themselves, not the people behind. And also, probably we are talking more about law. What about policies? I mean, I think we don't have a policy that speaks to the creative industry. Not at all. Why should that be? And we are talking about 2016, 5.46%. And where are we now as a country? Why is it that we haven't had any leadership say, no, we need a policy that will speak to the creative industry? And mind you, when we voice out through BOMU, through COSBOS, and all the other institutions and organizations, we want to influence police, but there's no police. So how are we going to now ensure that we develop? So we need to develop a policy specific to the creative industry. We have laid the copyright law, we have laid the industrial property law. What about policy? Because policy is one that drives. Efforts were made in terms of a strategy, but it has not come through. But I think as the minister is here, these are some of the issues that we need to look into. Next year, probably we should have a policy that speaks straight to this, and then an implementation strategy.
I'm sure Honorable Gelebing utlile mahoko a gago Rre Rapo. And you also spoke a little bit about value chain development. People such as Bo Rre Saibelo, who've been in this industry for so many years. And this brings me to my next question. This one is for you, Saibelo. You've built multiple creative enterprises across music, across events, across publishing, and you've got over 25 years of experience in this game. Now, from what you have seen along the way and where we are now, what have we done right and what have we missed?
Dumelang. First of all, I'd like to thank all those that selected me to be part of this prestigious panel. To be here, I thought there are more deserving creatives than me, but it's what it is. I think the first thing that we have to do, maybe let's start with the downside, what we have done wrong. I think as the creatives, we need to be honest to ourselves and the current environment, right? Government also the same thing. One of the biggest mistakes that this country has ever made was over-reliance on government funding to build the creative industries. That's a wrong approach. I know many people say, Marijuana say, that's not the point, right? I want to go forward. I heard the minister, I thought he'll be here, that the government would be building places, doing this, doing this, doing that, doing this. If government is going to wait for funding from the Ministry of Finance, it is going to take us 20 years like it did with the Copyright Act. When I was 20, we started fighting for the Copyright Act. It came in 2006, right? Yeah, it was passed. But there were guys that started way before who died like Chamza without seeing it come. Guys, they tell us that the first person who came about with the idea was Hugh Masekela. So that was 1972, right? So from 1972 to 2006, to get that. So the wheels of movement in government, they take long. So there are alternative funding opportunities for government, even for private sector and the creative industry. In my other life, I am an advisor for the Copyright and Intellectual Property Board of African Bank. Yes, I think you know about it. An organization that is as like National Arts Council of Botswana, that is always saying, ga re na madi, ga re na madi, ga re na madi, to run things. They could look there. There's a $1 billion fund that is set up for building studios, building facilities, and stuff like that. So once you've got sovereign guarantee and stuff, you could access that money. I mean, Nigerians and many other countries, they use African Bank. I mean, the state, they use the African Bank to get funding to put development, right? That's number one. We need to come up with a new funding model. Number two, government officers, parastatal officers must stop being involved in the business of the arts, like trading, like booking artists. Like Vincent was saying, let the booking agents do the job, give them the money. Don't do events, don't do World AIDS Day, give it to an event management company. By doing that, you are releasing close to 1 or 2 billion pula of the budget that is for all these events. I still don't understand that concept where when there's a government event, it's government officers that are doing the procurement, that are running around. That concept is still fascinates me. Just let go. You know, just let go, right? The third point, guys, I'm now 45 years old. I'm no longer scared of death or getting sick, you know, or getting closed out. You know, I'm where I want in life. I'm okay. I can go to my farm if people are upset. Number three, government leaders and parastatal leaders, be open to criticism that's constructive. You know, now when somebody criticizes me, I don't get upset. Or when you try to attack me in a meeting and stuff, I try to look at where does your anger emanate from? Where does your criticism emanate from? And I try to take that and use it. I hope the permanent secretary of the minister will be there to say it. But what have we done right? Right? Although we have not done right again. 5 years ago, government said, SEDA will start financing the creative industry, enterprise and business. They even put it in the SEDA website, whatever. But not a single person, I think, has been funded. So government has got good policies, has done well to develop good policies, but has done badly in implementing them. The National Arts Council, that's one good initiative. Establishing a National Arts Council is one good. The other question is it functioning well? Is it agile enough? Is it responding to the current thing? So we have done well. You know, there's been here and there, like me, they'll give me work, they'll give us film producers work here and there. So in terms of doing well, it has been disjointed. You understand what I'm saying? If, let's say, some people engage Mposibina at the opening of Parliament, next day they'll say, so the attitude, the mindset, and the attitude has always been, I think that we have operated, I don't want to be seen to be critical. If I look at myself, if I look at what I've achieved, both outside and here, if I look at what I've done outside, I think that we have operated at not low level, but mid-air, like here. I mean, I look at countries like Lesotho. I was in Lesotho 3 days ago. In Lesotho, it's a small country that nothing is moving there. But, you know, the energy of the artists, the people, people want to get out of Lesotho, go into South Africa, make it in life. I think we need to create a culture where a young person is sitting, is like, yo, you know what, Sir, when I make it, I'm going to the US. You know, I want to give an example with an artist I work with, Casper Nyovest. One day we were in a Kumbi with Hip Hop Pansol. We were traveling from a gig. We passed through the dome. True life story. And then he says, guys, do you know I'm going to be bigger than Lil Wayne? And one day I'm going to fill up this place. Right? Everyone in the Kumbi was like, are you crazy? Nobody has filled this place since Chris Brown. No, 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 no. It was a whole, everybody was crazy. And he said, guys, I know you are older than me. I still remember that. I told him, one day, if you look at his track record, he kept on going to take pictures around the dome. And he told himself that I'm going to make it there. I think there's the same mentality we must put on our people's heads. That when you are determined and when you're going for something, anything that stands before you, you must run it down. Anyone who stands before, that is the man. It's not arrogance, it's determination. We need to build determination amongst our people. Mr. Ngwago was saying that our biggest resource now is people. We need to weaponize our people towards success.
Yeah.
Once we do that, we'll go far. I think that's my take.
Thank you so much for your honesty, Sabelo. You're allowed to be honest on this panel. And I want to bring in Serge. You've built quite an incredible platform through Fashion Without Borders, Africa. And you know, fashion is one of the fastest growing creative sectors on the continent, by the way, with billions, and it expands rapidly online. Now, let's look at Botswana's fashion and beauty industries. Where are we? What will it take for us to be able to compete globally? Do we have the right infrastructure? Do we have the right capacity? Or is it an issue of, the way Sabelo put it, belief and mindset?
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. Yeah, Samantha, thank you so much for that question. Being in Botswana for past decades, when we came to the country, I'm not talking about me alone, I'm just talking about the state of the fashion industry in this country was actually down. There was really like nothing really to see much, because by the time we came, there used to be one fashion week, if I remember then, if you still remember, called the Desert, Color in the Desert, somewhere back then. It was already over by that time. And we came to revive the industry. And I can tell you today, a decade later, Botswana is doing good on that sector, but it's not enough. What is not enough? Because fashion designers still considering like fashion as art, not as a business. So they have to change their minds to put it to business, to understand that, it's not only like a hand-to-mouth kind of a, job that you're doing, but it's something that has to bring you the revenue back. The second thing is also in terms of the beauty. Actually, a decade later, today you can see there's like, you find, young women, they're into beauty industry, even their makeup brands, like Nora, see there's a lady called Neo now, she's launched a lipstick products, which is good, but of the future. What do you want to be tomorrow after building that brand? People need to understand the marketing strategy. Also, you need to understand as well the production side, the quality, and also participations, international events, right? Exhibitions, fashion shows, this kind of eventing. But we see Botswana, they are most absent to this big platform. Like, I'm giving an example, like Fashion Weeks, New York, or Paris Fashion Weeks, SA Fashion Weeks example. They used to be that you go there today, and tomorrow there's no one to see you. So we need consistency. We need government or private sectors to really put the efforts to help the industry to grow. That is really, and to grow the industry is not about the money. I know we always send proposals to say we need 100,000 rand, 50,000 rand, but as a company, you can come to say, okay, we don't have 1245 search or Samantha, but we have this, can help you. We have this, what's called again, supplier who can help you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to help you with your day-going businesses. Yeah. But we lack of that in Botswana. And also, we lack of collaboration. It's a problem. If we don't collaborate, there is no growth in the industry. For the industry to grow, people need to collaborate. Collaboration can come with Samantha. Look at how beautiful she is today. It's because she collaborated with the designer as well, right? So the industry of creative is a whole industry together. That collaboration is needed. The ecosystem, the sustainability of the fashion industry is needed. So for Botswana to go really far, I think we need to get those points I spoke about and to go beyond that. Just beyond the fashion, also not beyond the beauty, but to understand the business of it, to understand how you can represent Botswana in the global stage. Identify your brand, who you are. That's very important. Give an example of, I'm giving an example like, I've never been in Nigeria, but I listen to my Nigerian music, my Afro music. I listen to, or I watch Nigerian music. You've never been in South Africa, but you know what Amapiano is. What does Botswana have except the diamond? I know, before, but I'm talking about the creativity. Because creative is the mirror of the country. So we need to identify that brand to say, this brand is a Botswana brand, is a global brand where companies or governments can try to assist that brand to grow internationally on the international stage. That's what we need. Thank you.
Definitely. Ramatebesi, I want to rope you in, speaking on behalf of government. You know, I think the whole point is trying to move the creative from passion to being able to make a sustainable income. What mechanisms does your ministry, what type of programs are there that are making that possible for us to shift to where sustainable income is?
Oh, well, thank you once again, Samantha. Okay, we have what I would classify as smaller programs, you know, like the sort of grants that you get through NACB, you know, and maybe the National Arts Festival and so forth, and, you know. But the bigger stuff is the legislation and the policies that we're working on. Yes. Say, let's take case in point, the cinematograph bill that the minister said was going to be going to Parliament this coming November. Basically, with this, we are enabling the film sector and its entire ecosystem to function optimally. Yeah. And you know that when the film industry functions properly, it encompasses a whole lot of other industries in it. Okay? So you know there's going to be from just the technical aspects of film to crafts to fashion to music and, you know, a whole lot. Basically, all other industries that you can think of, you know, they go back, they go into that. So it's legislation and policies that we're working on. He mentioned, Honorable Minister also mentioned the fact that we have started work on the entertainment bill. Yes, because, you know, as we interact with promoters more especially, they tell us just kind of how they face constant roadblocks from the bylaws when they want to do gigs. And so this is why we bring in this in as well. One colleague as well spoke earlier about, you know, a creative industry policy. This is something that is also on the table that we are working on because we need that. We need that. We need to know how we're moving forward with our creative industry. What is it that we need to put in place to make sure that things happen? So this is what, at a bigger level, what our job is. But then, it's then again connecting all of you with all other government ministries. because everybody has their own function. Say, let's pick Ministry of Trade, okay? We want that facilitation for you to be able to export what you create. Say the Ministry of Finance, we, engage in talking about incentives and rebates and so forth, schemes. Because with that, we are enabling investment either locally or by international investors to have the, to have the comfort to come into our space to invest, because they know on the other side they're going to be benefiting out of what has been said. So that is at a larger scale what we're working on. And of course, lastly, on infrastructure as well. We may not directly build it directly as government, but then we need to find investors, help find investors to help us create such infrastructure, such as art galleries, such as the National Theatre, such as film studios, and so forth. So I like what Sabel was saying earlier, saying, hey, speak to, Afrik Zimbank. I was like, wow, okay, cool. He's just, thrown something in my basket, to go explore. And we would love to know as well, who else can we speak to? As you know, we don't have much money right now. But but we know there's money all over the world. And who has a better strength, or access than government to go knocking on these doors on behalf of all the creatives to make sure that these things actually happen. And then we watch you do your magic after enabling, setting up that environment. Basically, that is what we want.
I think I'd like Ray Vincent to continue on that same trajectory in terms of available programming, opportunities that are available, GoSIPA, that have been created in order to allow creatives to tap into. What interventions does SIPA have?
Yes, I think the biggest one that we have probably in the country is the Levy on Technical Devices Fund. It's a special fund for government to develop the creative industry. So basically the government said, let's develop the creative industry. So we provide funding to various creatives across the creative industry for them to come up with projects which ultimately should be sustainable. In 2023, we issued an open call to say, we need projects that would be sustainable, bring your sustainability model, and then we also continuously provide mentorship to them. One of the issues that we have always faced, as Ray Mudiwe said, I think casually, historically, we have always taken the industry casually. You operate from your dressing table, you operate from your booth, and that's it. We need to be professional. So we want them to make sure that at the end of the project, they are able to say, I've been able to be funded, seed funding, now I'm continuing with the work that I've been for. The government has provided you have a platform to contribute to developing the creative industry, create employment. So most of the funding is basically to provide infrastructure for those who need to acquire equipment for their productions, for their work. We provide fully infrastructure that will enable you to continue to do the work. So imagine if you provide such infrastructure, and then at the end of the day, like Remudbi was saying, there are no opportunities because the government also has the same infrastructure. They are not outsourcing anything. And then the other issue is that how well are we now utilizing the digital environment? Because everything now, especially after COVID, it's all about the digital environment. If you can see the number of people or creatives who were sharing or who were communicating their works on Facebook or the various media platforms, they've actually more than tripled now. Well, if you can compare before COVID. So this means that a lot of people are creating works, a lot of people are looking at opportunities that they can communicate their works. And also for us, we have been trying to look at the Copyright and Labor Rights Act. In terms of the digital environment, what mechanisms can we put in place to make sure that their rights are protected, their works are protected, so that they are environment we are covered as a country. So by Ramako, in terms of information, we did a study, and then the study we were supported by the World Intellectual Property Organization in terms of the methodology. And currently, we signed an MOU with Statistics Botswana to say, let's have studies, constantly let's have studies within the creative industry. As you are doing your household surveys as Statistics Botswana, let's also link into other critical issues within the industry, because the creative industry actually speak to households. So we are making a plan for implementation of that MOU so that we constantly have information available. Also, we are looking at an MOU with NACB as well, so that there is coordination. Government needs to come with the private sector. They should come together to make sure that the industry goes. The creative themselves, they also need to come on board as well, because they also shape where the
Videos have you made? Music videos of your work?
I don't know, maybe 8, not sure. Does that include live?
So between the two of you, about 20.
Yeah.
20, right. Yesterday I was at BTV. The set-top box in Botswana, I don't know if you use set-top boxes, has 8 channels. The music videos have been made. They are there, right? Serge was talking about what's our Botswana sound. We have Afro beats in Nigeria. We have Amapiano in South Africa. What's Botswana sound? Our music videos are sitting on shelves, not being played. They're played once a week on Flavor Dome. But you have capacity for 6 more channels on the set-top box, which means more exposure for your music. There are people who speak Setswana in South Africa, right? More exposure for your music, more money from Cosbots for you, more exposure to the world of what we do. Someone made an example the other day of the Americans. Every year there's a Super Bowl, there's the halftime performance. There's also the singing of the national anthem. We're still playing a 1966 recording of our national anthem and not giving that as a job to someone to do when we have an event and putting an artist to work. So there's a misunderstanding of what creates value, what is employment, and what artists do. No one ever put a budget in to say we need to, well, we did it with the youth games, we did it with Netball World Youth Cup opening ceremonies. But people don't put a budget in an event like this and say, we need someone to come and sing the national anthem. We got Mpo, you sang at the, you see, it's a job, right? So that misunderstanding, when ministries decide that they're going to get some of an MC internally, it's a job, right? So you need to budget and provision for that the same way you would do for water and all of that. So that is how we deepen the value chain. But as was illustrated earlier, there's many things to creativity. It's not just music, song, and dance. And they're in various states. But as Serge said, in the fashion side, he's revived the fashion shows side. But where's the cut, make, and trim? Where's the local fashion lines? Are they being made locally? Where's the factories and the jobs behind that? So there's a lot of work to do. And it also goes back to what the president of Business Botswana said about procurement. Don't procure creativity like you're procuring cement, because then you get lowest cost, right? You get lowest cost, low value. And then the same people will sit there and say, the same people will sit there and say, you see, Botswana, this is the quality. But they don't know that there's a rate card that is there that says live performance 5,000 pula. If you pay 5,000 pula, you get 5,000 pula worth of value, right? Don't expect 20,000 pula worth of value from an artist when you're paying them peanuts. So we need to deepen the value chain. I don't know if I'll get another opportunity to speak, so let me just say this now. I know the Vice President and Minister of Finance is coming. That VAT, digital trade, all the non-physical goods we're buying online are creative outputs. So before the money's even arrived, I think the legislation was passed and it's going to kick in sometime next year. My message is pay back the money, bring it back to the creative sector, fund the creative sector, and that's how we grow and deepen, I hate the word value chain, the value network of creative activities in our creative economy.
Thank you. And I think let's do a closing round. I want us to vision a little bit. We are currently in 2025. 10 years from now, let me just start with you, Mpo. What do you want the creative sector to look like? Where should we have gone within the next 10 years? And we will continue that same question to you, Rematebesi, to you, Tonderai, Saibelo, and so forth. Where do you want to see us in 10 years? I see, so we've literally got 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Where do you want us to go?
Okay, I'll keep it as short as possible, but I feel like we need to find a way to digitize our systems for us creatives, Botswana. From a musical perspective, when we look at the ways in which we earn our money, earn our revenues, it's all royalties. But when I look at the system that is in place for us to capitalize on our royalties, go cost bots, it's not digitized at all. I need to kwala lekwalo, ke kwalo la ka pena le pampiri, ke tsamaye ke go printa di CD, which nobody is using in 2025, and nobody's going to be using in the next 10 years. And now I'm speaking from a Gaborone perspective, Commerce Park Ohana, but ngwana kon shaka shokwe airang, usimola posa, a printa CD, and it just doesn't make sense. But also I think there's a lack of etiquette when it comes to treating artists, and that needs to change. We are business people. It is creativity and entrepreneurship, and we need to be treated as such.
Definitely, thank you. Rematebesi, 1 minute. Where do you want to see us in 10 years?
Okay, I want to see us making a whole lot of money. I want to see people working where you are overwhelmed with schedule, with work. And then I want us to display the diversity of our culture. You know, let me take just case in point, cuisine. How much, when people ask, oh, what do you eat in Botswana? We say, you know, no, hey, there is a whole lot more that we eat throughout Botswana. I just picked cuisine.
Yeah.
But there is a whole lot more across our cultures, from clothing to whatever. We need to see this. People need to see just how, you know, these beautiful diamonds that we've been talking about, us, the people, just how different we are, that we are not a photocopy of anyone. And while doing that and having fun, making a whole lot of money.
Money. Mr. Tonderai, 30 seconds.
12% of GDP, and the creative sector being on the first day of this conference due to its economic contribution, and agriculture being on the last day.
Sabelo.
Guys, I'm an artist. So when you say I must speak for a minute, you shake my thought process. You know, I want to say two things, and it's very critical because I'll never have this opportunity now. You know, I become very worried when government says we are going to create more laws, we are going to create more policies, when actually we are failing to implement the current policies and laws we have. The one thing that I want to hear government say is that we are going to create laws, we are going to create policies, and we are going to provide budget to implement these laws and policies. Right? I think that's what must happen, Mr. Matevis. But in closing, sometime in November, the Vice President said something in Parliament. He said, if you ban something from coming inside the country, and something that you are banning has got a similar product being produced here, that has got no export capability, is bad economics, something like that. I always say this to our guys. I hear people always talk about BTV doing this, BTV, this, BTV, this, BTV. My friend Carol, interviewed me the first time. She was a businesswoman before me because she was running Flave. She interviewed me for DVDs and stuff in film. I was an artist manager. But I sit here, we've got a gentleman from Pierre, my good friend, Monde, I don't know where he's sitting, Twala. Don't you guys think that the time has come for us to focus on commissioning works for international platforms? Don't you think that the time has, BTV, how many people watch BTV? The business of film and television now is distribution, right? If when you make a drama or a movie and you put it on Netflix and people stream it, you make more money, would you rather be investing in somebody who's going to put it on BTV when it plays there's no money made?
Yeah.
I think the business, let me finish, right? The business model here is very, very wrong, Samantha. I know the vice president is there. But guys, we need to change things. But the last thing that I want to ask government officers sitting here, directors, permanent secretaries, CEOs of parastatals, are you ready to disrupt the systems, you guys? Because if the diamonds are gone and we are sitting here and you are not ready to disrupt the system, how do you expect a change? The creatives, right? The creatives. I'm always had to see myself at a certain level and my counterparts at a lower level, right? It's not something nice. But for the creatives, I think we need to change our attitude towards how we approach this thing. Maybe the way we're approaching this thing and the way we relate with each other is our downfall.
Yeah.
I think for me, those are the takeaways for everybody. But I wish that, those that need to listen to us, they were here. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, Sabelo. Serge, 20 seconds, re-rapport 20 seconds, Ibertual.
Okay, 20 seconds, come on. All right, yeah, so for the fashion industry, for me, I'll say that, designers need to take fashion as a business, not as art only, and need very supportive, private sector or government, and also the council, the fashion council or the art council, need to support the industry and need to support as well initiatives that help the industry to grow, not to be doing a competitive way, work which is different of which is the same way of what other sectors are doing. They are here to implement the changes, the regulations, and to support the industry, not to kill the industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, re-rapport. 10 seconds.
I think looking at the industry and the distribution, for me, I want 20%. And also probably better decision making, because it's not like implementation is a problem, it's not a challenge. I'm an implementer myself. My CEO, my PS, they're not the implementers, but I need them to make a decision very swiftly for me to implement.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Please give it a round of applause for our extraordinary panel. We have run out of time. We can continue this conversation. If you guys have questions, find them in between and do feel free to approach them and have conversations. They're open to conversation. And that wraps up our panel for today. Rewe meha ontibisanako echaile. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Samantha.